So when it is a huge regime change, it will destabilize the country. Not to say that there's nothing going on in the news, but
Of course.
the feeling, how Malaysians feel about how things are going on right now is very important. Right now, things are starting to look up, right? There's less instability and more action being taken. So as a Malaysian, speaking of how I feel now after being back for 5 years, I say things are looking up.
While the world's still asleep, we're already grinding. Walking foreign streets, big city lights so blinding. Learning and hustling in this relentless game. The Emerge Pod's next up, we're breaking the frame.
Hi, and welcome to the Emerge Podcast, where we break down emerging markets and give you actionable insights on how to start and grow your business in them. Today, we are again in the beautiful city of Kuala Lumpur, and joining us in the studio today is Jet from Emperor Palace. Hi, Jet, how are you?
Hi, nice to meet you. It's very good to be here. I feel awesome.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. So, Jet, we were talking about this before the recording started, but so far on the Emerge Podcast, we've generally had foreigners who are setting up their businesses in all of the emerging markets that we operate in. This is probably one of the first or few times that we've had someone native from these markets that can bring a perspective of that market from a local level. So I'm really excited about getting into this conversation with you.
Yeah.
And so let's just start with your story first. So
Yes.
who are you? Where do you come from?
Hi, my name is Jet Chu. I am 28 years old this year, and I've been back in Malaysia running my business for the past 5 years. Before this, I was doing a degree in computer science in the University of St. Andrews, and I was in the UK for 6 years. And it was during the pandemic that I chose to return to take over my family business.
Okay, and what is that family business?
That family business is Emperor Palace. We are a luxury lifestyle brand specializing in the retail of European design, furniture, and lighting. We've
Okay.
been here since 2001, a very, very long time.
Wow, okay.
We are the pioneers and leaders of our market here in Malaysia.
Okay, so it's interesting that you left Malaysia for your higher education, but you were drawn back to the country. Was it just the family ties that brought you back, or was it something else?
It's a really funny story, actually.
Did your dad say come back or else? Or
Something like that. So I remember when I was 16, I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm not interested in selling furniture,
Okay.
and I never want to come back and take over your business.
Wow. Okay.
I told him that when I was 16,
Okay.
and the look on his face was like, damn.
I have no son anymore. Yeah.
Yes, he's like, but he, that's one of the times I appreciated him because he knew my interest lied in technology. Hence, with his blessing, I got to do a degree in computer science, all the way in the UK, in Scotland, St. Andrews. And it was never the plan for me to come back. But it was because of the pandemic that I got a call from my dad who said that things are quite tough right now
Okay.
in my country, in Malaysia. And he would really appreciate it if I could come back and at least do something to help out.
Wow. Okay.
And I remember the words he said to me that made me make the choice to come back. He said, Jet, don't worry. Running a business is very easy. With my guidance, you don't have to worry about a single thing.
Okay.
And, this is a man who has done and honed his craft for the past 40, 50 years. He started from a very early age of, I think, 20 or before that, running a business to grow to the empire it is today. And I took his words for it. I decided to pack up, come home. And during that time, Malaysia was doing a quarantine hotel situation.
Okay.
And so they weren't fully sponsoring it, but you had to pay 50%. And I only paid 1,400 ringgit for my 2-week stay at the Grand Millennium Hotel.
Wow. Okay.
A 5-star.
That works
I'm
out.
like, you know what?
Works out.
I love it. I love Malaysia. It's great to be back.
Great welcome back. Yeah.
And the moment I walked into my room, I haven't even opened my luggage. He gave me a call. And he said, Jet, welcome back to Malaysia.
Yeah.
Don't forget, running a business is not easy.
Now that you were there, you
I'm
just-
like, I am trapped. I cannot leave without a penalty.
yeah.
It's a very big penalty. And I have no choice but to take over the family business.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How old were you at the time? 22, 23?
It was 2020. Oh man, I was 22, I think.
Okay.
23, 24. Yeah, 2020, 23, 24.
So,
Yeah.
starting as a young entrepreneur, fresh off your university, getting into the family business, what was it like?
It's a lot to pack into one podcast, to be very honest. That's breaking that down. There's a lot of different sections to break down. But I would say that the biggest challenge that I first faced was, okay, now I'm the boss of a company.
Yeah.
It wasn't a usual, like, okay, you're going to start as a sales associate, and you're going to work your way up to manager. And no, we weren't one of those companies. We were desperate.
Yeah.
They needed a fresh face to head the company, and they put me on into the spotlight like right now.
So how does that play in culturally with the people of Malaysia that were working under you? The boss's son is here now. He's the head automatically. How does that
Yeah.
play in?
I think many can relate to my story. A lot of my friends go through the same situation. You know, they're abroad living the best life, and suddenly they're the most responsible human being in their family business. And I would say that the first challenge was, how do I even start to run this business at all? Where do I begin? And I would say that what really helped me was two things that I learned from my university days. The first one was just my degree, because computer science isn't just about coding, it's about solving problems.
Of course.
So long story short, I took that problem-solving approach to the business. I did my best with the foresight that I have to identify the different problems the businesses had and break that down into solvable problems. So it's not just one big chunk
Yeah.
I have to carry on my back, but for me to understand what is reasonable to work with at this time.
Makes sense.
And I combined it with my experience back in my university days in a committee. I was the president of the Malaysian Society in my university.
Okay.
Yes, and through that I had some leadership experience, mostly experience on how to work with people and how to work with events. And I combined these experiences. I took these experiences as my first steps into tackling the very big thing, which is taking over a family business.
Interesting. And so you've been running the business now for the last 5 years. So let's
I
talk a
have.
bit more about the business itself.
Yes.
So you mentioned that you're in the sale of furniture.
Yes.
And how does that work? Do you import the furniture or do you manufacture locally?
Yes. So we don't manufacture our furniture here in Malaysia. Every single piece that you find at my company and my brand is all manufactured abroad.
Okay.
So we are very proud to import all these beautiful pieces into Malaysia and allow Malaysians to have a chance to experience these luxury pieces.
Yeah, you know what? But when the first time I was actually coming to Malaysia, my dad, of course, has never been to Malaysia, and he has only heard a bit about it on the news and
The news.
from the media and everything. And I remember that one of the first things he said that Malaysian furniture
Yes.
is actually very well known
Yes.
in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There has been many times where I travel to international furniture fairs, Milan, Cologne, and it always makes me so happy to see that my Malaysian friends are there.
Yeah.
It was really funny. The last time we were in Cologne, we knew nobody there. It's a random country, a random area in Germany, and we're just walking down the exhibition halls, and we heard someone screaming "Atai," which is my father's old nickname.
Okay.
So my dad met his old friend, 50s, 60s, in Cologne because he and his company was exhibiting in Cologne,
Wow.
trying to market Malaysian furniture to the world. So Malaysia is actually a huge manufacturing hub for furniture. We are very well known, more well known than I thought. I hear more about Malaysian furniture through my foreigner friends, and it makes me very proud. And what we do best are the manufacture of furniture like this, where the designs are very simple yet elegant.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for your own company, so I find a discrepancy there because
Yes.
Malaysian furniture is so well known, but
Yes.
you are only operating in imported furniture.
Yes.
So why is that?
The reason is because we specialize in the retail of European classical furniture designs. And those designs, they require a lot of carvings.
Mm-hmm.
They require a lot of artisanal craft like gold leaf that Malaysia just does not have.
Okay.
So we have to rely on countries like Italy.
Mm-hmm.
We even work with countries like China
Mm-hmm.
to manufacture these furniture for us. Malaysia
Right.
just does not have the talent or capability to manufacture this furniture. If
That specific kind of furniture. Yeah, yeah.
exactly, even if you do find furniture like this being sold as made in Malaysia, it's not true.
Right.
It's because they would assemble it in Malaysia, but it's not fully manufactured in Malaysia.
But what's stopping companies like yourself from bringing in experts from Europe or from Italy or from these countries to actually come and train artisans and craftsmen in Malaysia?
I think it's the same reason why most countries cannot bring their manufacturing locally,
Mhm.
and it's because of talent. Malaysia is full of very talented people, especially in the crafts, but unfortunately not for this specific area of
Right.
putting carvings of furniture or gold
Mhm.
leaf on the frames. So it's just that we don't have a culture of that. The reason why other countries can do it is because Italy and France, that's where it's born.
Mhm.
The furniture that we import from Italy, it's craftsmanship passed down through 3 generations
Right.
of artisans.
Okay.
And that is just something that Malaysia just does not
Well,
have.
that makes sense. So if it's an artisan kind of situation, then of course it runs in families and certain cultures.
Exactly.
So it's hard for you to have that in Malaysia. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But generally, does that kind of position you in the eyes of the locals
Yeah.
as a more expensive alternative
Yeah.
to local furniture?
That's the reason why why we're still here today.
Mm-hmm.
We've been here for a very long time, and us being a very strong statement alternative against what you can buy locally is our entire brand appeal. We sell furniture that has very beautiful designs
Mm-hmm.
that I think tells its own story.
Of
You
course.
don't need to say too much about it to convince someone that
Mhm.
it's beautiful. Yeah.
But it's still considered an expensive
So
option. So it's a niche market.
exactly. So that we are a niche market, and people have the perception that our furniture is quite expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: we get a lot of Google reviews
Oh,
from
right,
customers
right. Okay.
who say that they were really scared to walk into a showroom,
Mm-hmm.
but when they did, they were so surprised that but there was a huge catalog of items that
Mm-hmm.
was surprisingly affordable.
Right.
And they were not planning on making a purchase today, but they just decided on the spot because it was a no-brainer choice.
They fell in love with the craftsmanship of.
They
of
fell in love with the
items, yeah.
craftsmanship, and they were surprised to see that the price was very reasonable.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just triggered a memory in my mind. I spoke on one of the episodes of the podcast. I spoke to a German gentleman who was, he was working in, I believe it was Indonesia or Thailand,
Yeah.
and he was bringing German sanitary, items, so plumbing related items to these markets.
Wow. I
And,
mean, they're the best in their craft.
they're the best.
Grohe and Koha
Exactly.
and
So
all this.
this kind of falls in that domain because the Germans are well known for that. So there was a
Yes.
demand in the market
Yes.
for his kind of products, even though he admitted that he was not the cheapest player in the market.
No.
But there was a certain quality or craftsmanship that he was
Yes.
bringing. I think that puts you in the same boat as well. But what I
Exactly.
really want to explore is that even though you are a Malaysian company who's bringing a foreign, product into the market, does that mean that there is potential in the Malaysian market so there's a demand in the Malaysian market for foreign products?
There has
Yeah.
always been a huge demand in the market for foreign products. Not to say that the buyers are unpatriotic, but
Of course.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
but it's just the fact that the sometimes foreign products are just plain better quality,
True.
or they just plain offer something that Malaysia just does not have.
Yeah.
Which is why the world relies on China for their global manufacturing.
Yeah.
Malaysia is a huge beneficiary of global free trade. I guess it's applicable worldwide, I guess, in
That's
that area.
true.
Similar to how the German person who came onto this podcast mentioned how he brings German products from Germany, plumbing products into Malaysia because they specialize in that. I play the exact same role in bringing craftsmanship from Italy and Europe all the way into Malaysia.
No, it's good to see that the market is receptive of these kind of products, because there are certain countries in the world where, you know, they prefer very strongly to
Yeah.
have their. Well, yeah, I'm sure you can understand which countries
Yeah,
I'm referring to.
absolutely.
But there are certain countries where the people are not very generally receptive
Yeah.
of foreign products. They want to have their own manufacturing, their
Yes.
own everything.
Yes.
But yeah, even my own experience in Malaysia so far has been that it's definitely a melting pot of different cultures coming together. And
Yeah.
you know, even if you look at the people of Malaysia, you have, you know, Chinese being very dominant here.
Yes,
Then you
a
have
huge diaspora.
the South Indians being a huge
Huge.
community here.
Yes.
And now you're saying that, you know, the products from Europe
Yes.
also are playing a good role
Yes.
in the economy. Yeah.
Exactly. We have a huge and long-standing partnership with our European friends.
Mhm.
We've known them for more than a decade.
Mhm.
You know, we've been here for I think more than 20 years already, since 2001. And they in Italy, they are very proud that their products can reach all corners of the globe, including one in Malaysia. So
Yeah.
whenever we are in search for new partners, they're always really, really excited to partner with us the moment that they hear that we're from Malaysia. It's like, oh, Malaysia? We haven't had our products there yet.
Yeah.
What can we do to make sure that our products have a chance to be in Malaysia?
Okay, so you're already seeing that foreigners are now more interested
Yes.
in the Malaysian, and that's good that you've mentioned that. I wanted to naturally progress the conversation in that direction anyway.
Yes.
Having foreigners be interested in the market is great.
Yes.
Allowing foreigners to come to this market as
Yes.
a businessman yourself is
Yes.
great. I recently I spoke to a gentleman who asked me that, you know, what is the government and the economy doing to foster more foreign investments? And of course, when you ask that question, there are the plans that are happening in Johor and everything
Yeah.
else. But from a Malaysian's perspective,
Yeah.
how do you think the government and the politics of the country have evolved
Yeah.
in the last 5 years to support more foreign investments?
When I first came back, I used to feel really, I guess, defeated is a word,
Mhm.
or hopeless, because living in the UK, you see and learn about different cultures a lot. A lot of Malaysians didn't have the privilege that I did to go abroad and have an education abroad, and I got to see things from a very different angle, and coming back with that perspective, I felt like Malaysia wasn't doing enough.
Okay.
That's my first impression. But I think a lot of it is because I didn't have a true perspective of what it's actually like to live here and be here when I first came back. So after being here for 5 years, I feel more hopeful.
Okay.
I feel more hopeful. Just as how Malaysia has a reputation of being the underdogs in Southeast Asia, being when people visit, people always feel impressed, more impressed. Oh, I didn't know Malaysia. It's the same thing is happening with, I believe, in my opinion, with foreign investments. There are more and more companies starting to realize Malaysia's potential as the next place to have foreign investments. That's the general sentiment of how I feel. And President Xi was in Malaysia a week ago.
Yeah.
And watching how our country welcomed him, and seeing his presence in Malaysia, it inspired a lot of confidence in me, in my market. Here's my belief as a Malaysian. Most Malaysians feel hopeless about their country. A lot of Malaysians I know are trying to leave.
Okay.
Oh, Singapore has a better pay.
Yeah.
I want to move to the UK for something. And it's valid. But what I see is that Malaysia has a lot of potential. We have a lot of talent, homegrown talent, that is being subject to brain drain. we have a lot of natural resources
Mhm.
that we just have a lot of natural resources,
Yeah.
right? And only recently have we had a relatively more stable government. We've had a very unstable government since the first switch over
Mhm.
to I guess PKR.
Mhm.
Talking about a little bit about politics
Yeah,
here.
that, I wanted to get into that.
Yeah, because
that's
I
good.
think it's
That's good.
impossible to talk about foreign policies and
Yeah.
foreign perspectives on Malaysia without talking about politics.
Yeah, I wanted to get into
Right,
that
I think
as well.
of-
That's good.
I think about the future of my country a lot.
Mhm.
Right, so I'm always reading the news. I'm always reading international news and Malaysian news, and so when there's a huge regime change, it will destabilize the country. Not everything will suddenly become better because the new guys who are supposed to fix things are going to fix things. It's not so simple.
Mhm.
When the new guys came in, the playing ground was still set by the
previous government. Yeah.
the previous
Yeah.
government. Malaysia has never experienced a government change for the past 60 years.
Okay.
So when we switched governments in 2016, was it 2016? I think it's 2016. It was the first time, but that switch meant that the country is now unstable,
Yeah.
and it was proven when there was a huge switch back to the what would some consider the old government,
Mhm.
where party members would jump ship
Mhm.
and form a new coalition to usurp the government.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, when Malaysia was most unstable.
Mm.
The people voted, but the people in power have a different idea.
Of course.
So now there hasn't been much of that kind of
Turmoil.
turmoil.
Yeah.
Not to say that there's nothing going on in the news, but
Of course.
the feeling, how Malaysians feel about how things are going on right now is very important. And I think that right now things are starting to look up. Right, there's less instability
Mm-hmm.
and more action being taken for foreign investors to come to Malaysia. So, for example, Nvidia, Microsoft,
Yeah.
all these companies have started to invest in Malaysia, and a big headline was when Tesla also said they were coming to Malaysia, we're going to build superchargers everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so as a Malaysian, speaking of how I feel now after being back for 5 years, I say things are looking up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good time to be in Malaysia, and I have a huge hope that my country will still be and be more relevant 10 years to come, in 10 years to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the regime change that you mentioned that came around in 2016. So it must have taken a couple of years for them to
Yes.
settle in, and then of
Yes.
course COVID happened. That must have been
Yes.
devastating for the government anyway.
Yes.
But you're saying that now Malaysia is on the path towards more stability.
More stability.
Yeah.
I was, for me, my personal view on politics is that
Mhm.
I don't really care who is in power.
Mm-hmm.
I only care about their policies,
Mm-hmm.
and I care about what they're saying and what values they want to, what values they have in governance.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had a huge problem with is the word, when what's the word, populism, not populism,
Mm-hmm.
where the government just says things that people
Uh-huh.
want to hear,
Okay.
but don't do things that the people actually need.
That's just
Right.
politics generally.
yes, that is just politics generally, and I care a lot when I know that whatever policy changes,
Mm-hmm.
whatever deals they are making, will benefit Malaysia long term, not just for the short term.
The result of that is already apparent because as you mentioned, in the last couple of years, the Malaysian economy is growing.
Yeah.
We've seen a larger, amount of foreign investment
Yes.
coming into Malaysia.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, I've also experienced that when, we have foreign friends coming into Malaysia, they see
Yes.
what Malaysia is like now, and they're often surprised.
I think 10 out of 10 people
Mhm.
are surprised.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can say the same thing about our neighboring regions, Thailand and Singapore.
Absolutely.
They'll be like, oh, it's great, but kind of expected it to be.
No, I actually, again,
Yeah.
I can speak from personal experience on this. The first
Yeah.
time I came to Malaysia was 5-6 months ago.
Wow.
And I did not know what to expect.
No.
Because from international media, from what we'd heard about the regime and everything, I did not expect it to be the way that it is.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of how it looks, but in terms of the people's, perception about doing business.
Yeah.
And I find that is definitely setting the stage for the next 5 years up till 2030, where it's going to become
Yes.
something.
I actually had
Yeah.
a conversation with a digital nomad
Mm-hmm.
who came to Malaysia to set up his coffee business,
Okay.
but not locally. So he just came here to set it up as HQ.
All right.
So they distribute in Japan. But
Mm.
he had a choice of where he wanted to go for his digital nomad
Mhm.
visa, and he's from he's of mixed origin. He
Mhm.
came. He has a UK and a US passport.
Okay.
So he said he was thinking of Thailand,
Mhm.
Vietnam, Singapore, and Malaysia. And when he visited all 4 countries, he decided on Malaysia. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Because our digital nomad program is new.
Yeah.
When he came here, it was still the trial run. And Thailand is the most popular place to be a digital nomad.
Mhm.
And his comment stuck with me. He said, here things just make sense. Here infrastructure is what you expect.
Yeah.
Not what you expect, but what you expect from a first world country, I guess you would say. Our public transport still needs some help
Of course.
with the last mile, but it's good, but just the last mile is the issue. But other than that, we have great highways, we have great infrastructure, we have great malls. We aren't what people think of Malaysia
Mhm.
before actually coming to Malaysia.
That's true.
People think that things are really crazy here, kind of like Vietnam.
Yeah.
Things like, crossing the road, you can close your eyes. Things like that. There's none of that here in Malaysia. Things just make sense.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's. I think what stood out to me the most was that, you expect Malaysia to be a very local country.
Yes.
That it's very focused on the local businesses, the people, and.
Yes.
But what I found was that the way that the market is receptive
Yes.
of foreign businesses.
Yes.
And even in your case, the way that the
Yes.
market is receptive of foreign products and services.
Absolutely.
I think this is going to be something. And getting into it now, this
Yes.
year, is like getting in on the ground floor.
Yes.
Well, not exactly the ground floor, somewhere like 20% of the way.
Yeah.
But it's building up to be one of the best countries in the region for doing business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a testament as well to Malaysian hospitality.
Of course.
We are we're a very chill bunch of people,
Yeah.
and whenever we see foreigners here, we feel patriotic that they're here,
Yeah.
and we do what we can to make them feel welcome. So it includes our friends
Mhm.
who visit, and it includes businesses as well. That's just how I feel as a Malaysian.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay. So, well, that part's all well and good. Let's talk more about the specific business that you're
Yes.
involved in Malaysia.
Yes.
So you mentioned that you deal with a lot of imports.
Yes, I do.
And when someone is setting up their company, like it's a brand new company that they're
Yes.
setting up, it's an SDN BHD,
Yes.
and they want to import certain products to
Yes.
Malaysia.
Yes.
Is it very difficult to import in Malaysia and to have those import permits? I mean, it might be different in your case because you have an old business.
Yes.
But
So
how does the process work?
fortunately, that area isn't something that I have to worry about too much,
Okay.
because the grounds for dealing with problems with imports
Mm-hmm.
have already been set by my family,
Of course.
who they dealt with all the big issues when it came to importing things into Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
But I speak with a little bit of inexperience in that
Yeah.
area. I think in Malaysia, where there's a will, there's a way.
Of course.
If it's not possible, it is entirely possible to find a way to make it possible. Not
Yeah.
to say you do things illegally, but there's always a way forward that makes it business friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Malaysia Boleh is the term we use.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would say that Malaysia is very friendly to importing things from all around the world.
Yeah, I mean the strategic location of
Yeah.
Malaysia really makes it
Yes.
good for the import.
Yes.
and export of products.
Yes.
So how often are your shipments coming in? Do you do it in like
Oh,
bigger batches or?
A few times a month.
Oh,
A
okay.
few times a month. So
Mhm.
we work with a lot of partners all around the world,
Mm-hmm.
and our shipments, they come in a big container,
Mm-hmm.
and they come a few times a month. So uh, it's especially when business is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then you have your showrooms here
Yes.
in KL.
So
Yeah.
I have two showrooms here in
Mhm.
KL. I have one at Damansara Heights,
Mm-hmm.
and another at Jalan Ampang.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, Jalan Ampang is right here. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Close
just
by.
down the road,
Yeah.
15 minutes away from
Oh,
here.
cool.
10 minutes away from
Yeah.
here. And our showroom is the one next to Menara Perkeso.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And next to Embassy View Condominium. So
All right,
we
right,
take
right,
pride in our location, which is what Malaysians refer to as Embassy Row.
Yeah.
It's a very prestigious road that houses a lot of embassies in Malaysia. So we actually get a lot of embassies who buy from us as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And of course, having more foreigners in the country would benefit businesses like yours because foreigners would know the value
Yes.
of the stuff that you're bringing in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Malaysia
Mhm.
is unique in the sense that our currency is quite affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Affordable meaning that if you're a foreigner coming to this country with a stronger currency, even weaker currency, we have things become automatically affordable.
Yeah.
So chances are, if you buy my furniture here, even though it's really far away from where it came from, it's
Mhm.
probably going to be cheaper than where you could buy it from. And we also have we know foreigners who live in countries that are entirely landlocked.
Yeah.
So to import anything or export anything from their country
Must be a nightmare.
will
Yeah.
be a huge nightmare.
Yeah.
So we benefit from being not landlocked.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes sense. Well, okay. So you've been running this business for 5 years now. You're settled back into life in Malaysia. This is also something that, because as I mentioned, a large part of our audience is foreigners who are looking to,
Foreigners.
start these businesses in Malaysia. They
Yeah.
want to either import something, bring something from their countries
Yes.
here. So we've established that starting a business as a foreigner in Malaysia is relatively straightforward. It's a relatively
makes sense.
easier. Makes sense as well.
It makes sense. Malaysia is
Yeah.
very welcoming towards that. I think a lot of it also comes from education,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that the government always does what the people, or tries to do what the people want.
Yeah.
Right? So one of my favorite stories of all time, when it comes to how regional and foreign policy is handled in the Asian region, is when Taylor Swift came to Singapore.
Oh, okay.
That is one of my favorite stories because the Singapore government and Taylor Swift signed an exclusive deal
Mm-hmm.
to only have her perform in Singapore.
Okay.
And that deal came into light when I believe the government of Philippines or Indonesia, I forgot which Asian country,
Mm-hmm.
brought this out and said this is entirely unfair.
Yeah,
That-
because we didn't sign it. Yeah.
Yes, and because Taylor Swift could have come to Malaysia,
Malaysia, Indonesia. yeah.
Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, but the Singapore government locked her for 6 days in Singapore,
Okay.
and people were obviously very angry about it.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, it's so unfair for the Singapore government to do this, but I see it as a long-term gain.
Okay.
Why? Now, the government knows that the people know that having these, I mean, Taylor Swift isn't in foreign business,
Of
but
course. Yeah.
having these foreign performers come into Malaysia
They do a big deal
to
for
perform,
you. Yeah.
it's a huge deal because now people are aware why the Singapore government did it. It's because
Yeah.
it brings a lot of tourism. Hotels are fully booked.
Mhm.
It brings a lot of revenue into the country. They published exactly how much they stood to make from Taylor Swift coming into Singapore, and I believe it was in the hundreds of millions.
Wow.
I might be exaggerating. I forgot the exact figures.
No, I'm sure Taylor Swift is a force of nature. So anywhere
Yes.
she goes, she makes millions of.
So that story, even though people paint Singapore as the big bad wolf, actually, it's benefits every single Asian region to be more aware of the importance of having foreign investors
Yeah.
and foreign performers
Yeah.
have some sort of bring some sort of economic gain into our nation.
Yeah, and once again, I love how conversation naturally flows on the Emerge podcast because
Yeah.
the next thing, now that you've mentioned Taylor Swift and generally how, things are evolving in this entire region,
Yes.
being from, from the UK, I wouldn't say you're exactly from the UK, but you
No.
spent a large portion of your life there
6
as well.
years.
Yeah. So another aspect that people consider before they move to any new market is what is life going to be like in that market.
Yeah.
And generally we see the Balis of the world that attract a lot of
Yes.
foreigners because of
Yes.
that beach lifestyle.
Yes.
And Malaysia has historically attracted a lot of Thailand, and Malaysia has attracted a lot of vacationers looking for the beach life as well.
Yes.
But let's talk about running a business and living a life in KL.
Yes.
What is that like as compared to other regions? And would a foreigner, someone who's not from this region, probably not following the same religion as the dominant religion in the
Yes.
region, do they find it easier to adapt to life in Kuala Lumpur?
So I speak as a business that has been here for 20 years. And also with my experience being back here for 5 years, not really as a foreign company.
But with that perspective.
Yes, but with that perspective, but selling foreign products and having lived in a foreign country, I think Malaysia is a very welcome place for foreign businesses to come set up. We there are a lot of videos that go extremely viral on TikTok when Americans or Brits or anyone who is obviously a foreigner says any positive thing about Malaysia at all.
Yeah, of course.
So there was one where a lady walked around Pavilion and she was from the US and she was just filming around and said, "You're telling me Malaysia's a third world country? Not with this, And Malaysians are ready to are very welcoming towards foreigners like that.
But what about general life in Malaysia
life.
as a foreigner?
General life in Malaysia as a foreigner? I can't really comment on what expat life is like in Malaysia, but I can tell you that there's a very strong communal scene. It was just 3 weeks ago that I went to a comedy show. A African American guy, Rashman Blake, came to perform, and I was just so surprised at how many foreigners. I mean, it wasn't a very big room, like 100 packs. But I was also just so surprised at the proportion of foreigners in that room. Probably a bit more than
Wow, okay.
Malaysians, because it's a foreign act. And a lot of Russians, Americans, Brits, a lot of there were even some people from Brazil, even from the African regions as well.
Okay.
In that room, and I would say that I think the expat community here is bigger than I think it is. I can't comment exactly how big it is, but I
it's
know
bigger
that
than what people expect it to be.
it's bigger than what people expect it to be. In fact, we did this collaboration with KL City Opera. They perform Italian opera acts.
Wow. Okay. They
They're
do
the-
that in Malaysia.
Exactly.
That's surprising.
You should get them on. Sun Yun, Mr. Sun Yun. I recommend he come on the show and talk about it. I
Okay.
think he will be a really good person to talk about this because one of their patrons is the Italian embassy.
I see.
So we did a collaboration with them where we lent them furniture for their set, and they were performing all sorts of beautiful acts. Original acts. They respect the craft. Malaysians singing in Italian
Wow.
opera.
Okay.
They're the only people in Malaysia to do this. And yeah, the Italian embassy was their patron. And when I was went on for one of the days, there were a lot of ambassadors, wonderful foreigners who watch the act, watch the performance.
I mean, you'd expect something like this from a market like the UAE, where
Yeah.
you know they have their own culture, of course, a
Yes.
very strong one.
Yes.
But then they celebrate foreign cultures as well.
Exactly. Similar to how
yeah.
I sell and market furniture from Europe. There are people here in Malaysia who really appreciate the European arts, Italian arts, because it is a part of our world history and world culture. And we stand to gain a lot from learning from other people's culture and applying their perspectives into our daily lives.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So generally, I'd say that, you know, when again, it's the international perception, even though it's changing for Malaysia. For a lot of people that I've met, initially before they come here, whether it's to Malaysia, Indonesia, or any of these primarily Muslim-dominant countries, they think that it's going to have a certain kind of restrictive lifestyle.
Yes.
But then what they don't realize is that even though Malaysia is definitely a Muslim-majority country,
Yes.
it has a huge Chinese influence to it as well.
Yes. In fact, that comment was recently mentioned to me by my Thai friend who visited.
Okay.
He was just so surprised how harmonious the Malays and the Chinese and the Indians and the foreigners all seem to be living together. You know, we visit Malay businesses and vice versa, you know. So there's a huge amount of tolerance amongst our different races here, and that's something we take a lot of pride in, that racial harmony that we have with each other.
And you know, that even translates into business. We've talked about this already, but you know, having different cultures and different races be in a certain market, it gives businesses more opportunities in terms of what they can sell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, if it was a country that was just primarily focusing on the Malayu, you know, people,
yes,
then you won't have the opportunity to sell what you sell.
in fact, most of my customers aren't Chinese.
Yeah.
Most of my customers are Malay.
Right.
Yes.
Because they're open to the idea of foreign
Yes.
products, right? Yeah.
And whatever products I market actually really aligns with what they consider to be a luxury lifestyle.
Right.
Right. So I think there's a lot of factors to it, but a huge part of it is due to how the actual royalty lives in Malaysia,
Right.
and how royalty lives in Dubai and all these Middle Eastern countries. Like we also have royalty from Malaysia
course.
who buy from us. So when I say live like the royals, I actually mean it.
No, that's fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
again, this is for me. This is the first time that I'm hearing the perspective of a Malaysian
Yes.
on you know, how foreigners come to Malaysia, how business is generally done, and that I believe is the whole lesson from, or the main takeaway from our conversation here. That
Yes.
you know, Malaysians like yourself are very receptive to
Yeah.
foreign ideas, to foreign businesses coming in and making an impact on the Malaysian
Yes.
economy as well. But let's now have some closing notes from you on what your business is doing.
Yes.
Imagine this like a 1 minute ad for your business.
Hat, yeah.
So what does your business do? What does it bring to the table?
Wow. So Emperor Palace is a luxury lifestyle brand. We don't just sell furniture. We have what it takes to resonate with a luxury lifestyle of your dreams. We don't sell things that people don't want.
Okay.
You know, we seek to resonate. And what we have are beautiful furniture akin to art pieces that have craftsmanship passed through multiple generations in Europe. And it is available for purchase here in Malaysia. In fact, some of our pieces are one of one in the entire world.
Wow. Okay.
So that same partner that I mentioned, that they were really excited to enter the Malaysian market, they wanted something special. And we wanted something special that they've never produced. And so we worked with them to figure out what can be a statement piece in Malaysia. And it's available for viewing at my Jalan Ampang showroom. Made in Italy, one of one in the world, incredibly beautiful, entirely gold leaf, and with beautiful, very delicate carving that you can't find anywhere else in the world. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And other than the really classy and exclusive European imports. We also have a affordable line. So if your budget is just 10,000 ringgit, we have plenty of products. Sofa sets, dining sets, bedroom sets, office furniture, chandeliers that can cater towards your budget. Come in, have a look. You'll be surprised at how affordable our things are.
And I would say that is the theme of Malaysia. Come in and you'll be surprised at how
Yeah.
affordable and great
Come in
the
for the
country
free
is.
aircon. I don't mind. You know, like we are very welcome.
Yeah.
You know, we are just happy that there are people coming in and just appreciating what we have to
The
offer
art that you're bringing to the table. Yeah.
in the world. Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Jed, it has been a pleasure speaking to you on this episode, and thank you so much for being on the episode.
Amazing.
And I wish you the best of luck as you bring this foreign artisanal craft
Yes.
to Malaysia. And yeah, I'm sure that businesses like yourself are making an impact on, you know, how foreigners perceive
Yes.
Malaysia as well.
Yes.
So thank you for the work you're doing, and thank you for bringing a Malaysian perspective to the Emerge podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
While the world sleep, we're breaking the frame. We already grinding. The Emerge Pod's next up. We're